I just realized like the light color is like reverse of this. Not bad, huh? Other branding sini. Right.
Not bad, not bad. Let's start the countdown. Oh, okay, okay. Hi guys.
Hello.
I saw who is that? Chris is in the comments.
Okay, I
Hi,
will
Chris.
press.
Yeah, how you press?
Okay, so Sydney comment.
Good lucky. Hi Chris. Today we're gonna talk about like what 20s versus 90s babies. Whoever is 2000 baby. Actually quite curious. Will any 2000 baby out like watching our lives? Because it's kind of like
Maybe a few lah.
maybe a few. Who is 90s? Who is 80s?
I know not many will want to spend their Monday evenings watching YouTube after they stress on the first day of work lah.
Oh, yeah. It's Monday. Yeah.
It's Monday.
So tell me, which era? Which era?
Which year you were born?
Which year you were born?
Which year you were born? Era sounds a bit like, you know,
Oh,
there's a line that you don't want to cross, you know. So
Okay.
just a year, no judgment.
I know from my post on like Friday, there's like someone from 60s, like CK. If CK is here, I'm also curious about 60s. How do you guys
We got
Hi,
Chris with us.
Hey, another Chris.
Miss Anya, and of course there is Uncle Sini.
Another is from 50s, right?
No
I don't know.
Hey, 50s means 70 already, you know. Friend.
Sorry.
Hey, wait, he is 39, right, this year?
Is it 39? Me 59.
So I think it's 80s ah.
Still
80s ah, I think. Kan. Early 80s. Eh? Oh, late 80s. I don't know, my math very bad. Don't ask me math after work hours. My brain stopped working. Okay.
Okay, before we start, so this today talks, the context is about you know how nowadays people are talking bad about 2000 babies or like they don't want to OT, how to make them OT, why are they not working more, and then why are they like hopping the jobs frequently. So now we have a representative.
Yes, from the 2000s.
Maybe can we let her introduce herself first, then we will jump into.
Okay, so hi guys, my name is Kimberly. As you can see in the poster, I have become the poster child for today's event, the 2000 baby representative. Disclaimer, all opinions that I say is not my own, so please don't come for me. If you have any problem, just don't look for me. Just don't. Yeah, so today we'll be talking about quite a lot of things. I think it's going to be quite fun. We'll all be sharing a lot of different perspectives of the workplace. I think it's been very different since COVID hit also. Yeah, so we will see what the 00 baby got to say. Hi Azri.
Azri is ace.
He's
I know, I'm
older
wondering.
than he looks.
He's older than he looks.
You guess up. He's here. He'll listen to your reply.
90, I guess he's like 90. You say older.
Older than me.
So he's like 90.
Yeah.
Azri like, or are you like the.
Okay. By misrepresenting you.
Okay. So, okay, we're gonna start from there. Okay, so what's the 2000s babies and 90s babies? What do you think is the huge difference beside the age? Oh yeah, yeah. It's a- Oh,
We just let the ticker on.
okay. So what's the difference between like 2000? I mean like from your observation, because I think you work. Have you worked with 90s people or 80s?
Recently, 80s to 90s, yes.
Uh-huh.
But previously, it was more like my generation, so like more Gen Zs
Okay.
and a little bit of millennials, so like 20 plus below 30.
Okay.
Yeah, so not that far off, but you can tell there's a different way of working from both age gaps. Yeah.
Okay. If anyone out there is having used to work with people like a lot of age gap, also maybe can share with us a little bit what's the difference, what observation they see. Let us know. So for you, 80s, how are they like?
80s, so 20 years difference from me. Sorry, you have to count. I'm very bad this 20 years difference from me. I think obviously how they look at work is very different. Like they're very serious.
Okay.
They treat their job like something that's meaningful. Like they go to work and then they take their job very seriously, and obviously everyone wants to excel at their job, right? But for them, it's like most of their life they've known working is revolved around work. Yeah. So I think that's why there's a difference with Gen Zs when we go into the workforce. Like work is not our everything, and maybe that's why it comes off as us not taking work seriously, or like that we are quite unbothered or very problematic and lazy. You know, all these stereotypical things about Gen Z. But yeah, again, it's because of the difference in how we were all brought up. Right now, it's like people are more open to that work is not everything. That yes, money is important, but you also have to prioritize like your well-being, for example. Yeah, you guys agree?
Maybe we have Tyler to add some input because
And the
he.
token old man here.
No, no. No, so he entered workforce like way earlier than us, like way in such a. Do you think it's because the age that affect the value, or is it because the environment can affect the value?
The time I started working, because I mean we are the younger side of millennial, right? We are right. Yeah. So we're younger side of millennials. When I started working, it was I think since 15 plus lah. So at that time, it was when the first wave of articles about how the millennials are the new lazy generation, with like the OG lazy generation ma. So I think the main changes at the time, when it was still like the Gen X or the baby boomer bosses, what we would hear a lot of is like, they don't understand why transparency is needed. So the whole transparency of leadership, that started with our generation on the millennial side. So I think the main difference that, let's say from the baby boomer side, right, those who were key leadership during the time, the main difference is very much my way or the highway kind of style of leadership, right? So it's always the download, what they always say, like, the old waterfall systems, like for those of you who are project managers, right? Where it's literally like, decide from the top, trickle down to manager, manage your own teams, right?
Oh.
Yeah, so it used to be very waterfall. So I think the time that I started working, it started to shift a little bit where there's a bit of the millennial wave where we started asking for more transparency in terms of why are we doing this. Used to not be something they needed to explain, because the boss say you do what lah. Like Eric said that story where the guy just holds the ashtray and follow the consulting doctor around. Like you do stuff like that because your boss tells you to, and that's it. There's no two-way here.
Never question.
Yeah. So I think that was the main difference I noticed. And as it changed from transparency, now it's become inclusion. Right? So it's no longer that this is just what you need to know to do your job, but you're still expected to do exactly what leadership wants you to do. It says we'll let you in on what's the decisions being made. You get to vote on it. but we make the decision, right? That's still, I think, how our generation is used to working. But lately, with all the millennials now becoming, company leaders and all that as well, you're starting to see more inclusion where, certain decisions being voted on. Some of it can be democratic, some of it's more, let's say, accepting of different points of view. So things like voicing out opposing opinion in a meeting room used to not be accepted. But I think nowadays with the millennial leadership, it's something that I think we're seeing more of. What they said, please disagree if you disagree, rather than keep it to yourself and just say this is a good idea, shine my shoes, and then you go out after that and say this is a stupid thing, I don't get why we're doing it, and then decide not to do it, right?
Yeah, I think relating to that point, there are companies that want to retain their staff, so instead of you being quiet and then keeping all your dissatisfaction to yourself, I think a lot of companies would rather their employees speak up and say what they're not happy about, so that they can at least try to change and make things better for them to get them to stay. Yeah. And I think for a lot of Gen Zs, we actually have problems communicating that. I think we lack the skills to go up to our boss and say hey, this isn't working for us. Is there another way? And instead, we would rather quit. We would rather find the easy way out than confront our boss to find a solution, because we were also taught that this is the workplace, you don't question things, it's just how it is, you should be able to accept it, you can't always have things your way. So then it comes off as us being a little bit more entitled, even though we know that we should be voicing our concerns out. You understand?
Yeah. What about you guys? Do you guys agree with what Tyler's mentioned just now? Is the more noticeable difference is the transparency and the inclusivity. Our generation try to include more of the because there's pyramid. We always see it as a pyramid. Nowadays, our generation, we try to include the bottom to the decision making. Do you guys agree that way? Do you guys agree that the difference is there, or what's your guys' observation? For me, I feel it's the transparent, but I think the miscommunication also comes with because the upper high is a bit too intimidating, and we don't know what's the right way, and because the gap is you're 20 years older than me.
Don't tell me what to do. It's my company. Don't tell me how to run my company.
I think it's very intimidating for us to go and communicate, despite they did say that it's a safe space. You should say whatever you want to say, but it's still quite difficult to do that.
It really depends on leadership.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, how do I put this forward in a diplomatic way? Okay, no, I think everyone has good intentions, right? But I think not everyone is as accepting as they would like to be at that point in time of maybe someone else's opposing opinion, right? So not everyone has the maturity to be able to be the person they want to be in the conversation during the time, let's say. So execution is, proof is in what actually happens, not in how you think you would like it to happen.
Okay, we have Jean. Hi, Jean.
Oh, no hello to our guest, Kim?
What's that? What's this? I was just saying. Let me know.
Belanja. Oh, why? Oh. Yalah, had to belanja already.
Happy lah.
Had to belanja already. Happy man.
I think I think few of the LinkedIn posts that I came across with I don't think people openly on LinkedIn talk about 2000 maybe being difficult to work with, but I do see a lot of content in other social media platforms, and they're actually quite curious about how to retain just now you mentioned how to retain a 2000 talent and all that, because I think a lot of people our age started to go out and start their own thing, so there's a gap in between. They don't know how to connect the 80s and the so. Do you guys know how to? Have you guys worked with any 2000 maybe let us know how do you guys?
Yeah, work with each other. How you guys have these conversations? How you guys run the team? I think it's all good to hear lah and get different perspectives because at the end of the day, I don't think any generation is, everyone behaves exactly that way. Really depends lah,
Yeah.
ultimately on the blend of people, let's say.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I'm more curious about because your circle probably has the most 2,000 babies. Are they really that brave to speak up, to really communicate? You know, the stereotype is like 2,000 babies are very brave. They speak out all the time. They talk back all the time.
Well, I
Someone
wouldn't
is
say
exhaling
talk
harder.
back. Talk back is a very strong word. I think I would say we know how to disagree when we need to, or I think it's more of we know that this is not right and we are not going to sit here and watch it happen. Yeah, so I think that's the generation gap. If to say it was like the 80s and 90s baby, I think most of them would take it as it is, right? Like what I said, it was just like, yeah, this is work, right? You can't always be like spoon fed. You can't always get what you want and all that stuff. But then that is what we are trying to change, I think, as a Gen Z going into the workplace. Like those are the toxic work cultures that we don't want to tolerate anymore, or we're refusing to tolerate. Of course, I know there are some people who are not that brave because most people feel comfortable with the system and they would rather just go with the flow than try to do something about it because it would put them in a spotlight and it makes them feel uncomfortable.
Also, they are 2,000 babies are more.
Yeah, there are. I know people who are quite complacent. Like they are just happy. Like, oh yeah, I mean, this is how it is. Like this is what I've always known. This is how I've always been taught what work is supposed to be.
Oh.
So they are not willing to step up and sort of make that change for themselves. But that's completely fine too, right? Like if you're happy and you don't really have problems, then good for you. But I know there are people who are very discontented with how things are, but they are willing to share their experiences. They are willing to talk about these things and basically try to change the way things used to be. Yeah. So I think that's quite a lot of Gen Z's ultimate goal when they go into the workplace. Like they just want to make going to work less of a torture. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, work is hard, right? Like I don't want to have to spend 8 hours of my day going to office and not enjoying myself. You know? So I would at least try to communicate and share, or if it's possible to change something, then why not? You know?
But I guess so. That comes to the next banner is we know that some 2,000 are quite rebel against the 9 to 5 working hours. It's also part of something that the younger people wants to change.
Yeah.
Right, but then the 80s or the 90s, the seniors might not be
Too open.
Yeah, too open about it.
Okay, what do you guys think about 9 to 5?
I think that's good and bad. I actually quite like the hybrid. I feel like there is a need to go into the office to get things done.
Yeah.
Because definitely working 9 to 5 in office can get a lot of things done. But do we need to do that every day? Probably not. I think probably not. And also recently I saw there is a TikTok about a young girl, the young lady just entered the workforce. She spent 3 hours back and forth just to
Drive.
1.5 hour commute to workplace.
Oh, okay. So I thought you meant 3 and then 3. That would be 6 hours on the road.
No,
Holy.
that's one
Okay.
1.5 hour 2 and then 1.5 hour back. And then I think a lot of people commenting about her TikTok is why are you complaining? Because actually a lot of people working in KL also they did the same thing. Because if they stay in Klang, they travel to PJ or whatever, actually it takes that long also.
Yeah.
Yeah, so part of the people can feel her pain, but part of the people also cannot feel her pain. Yeah.
I mean, I can add to that because last time when I was in recruitment, right, I used to recruit for some manufacturing companies as well. So that industry by itself, right, the way I understand work hours, it's really modeled differently based on what the industry needs it to be, right?
Yeah,
so like manufacturing, for example, there's this uncle I used to do. He's a factory manager, right? But he kind of manages 2 factories, so one in Johor, one in KL. So his daily work, his every week, right? He confirmed had to drive to Johor maybe 2 or 3 times, and that's like one way. He does a day trip. So
KL to Johor.
yeah, so KL to Johor, then Johor to KL in the same day. And to him, long distance driving is part of the job lah. So the driving time technically is part of work as well, because he has to go back, inspect everything, where they have to maintain its off hours ma. So the person's only when there's no shift, then that's for the maintenance to happen ma. So it's modeled differently. It's not a 9 to 5 job, but it is 9 to 5 in a way that you see like it's consistent timing. So yeah, I mean it's very different lah. But I think for our field in the creative side, right, you don't need it to be physical. That's part of, I guess, the one of the better parts of it. But where it's fun to be together working, I think it's like brainstorming times. Or when we want to set up things for the shoot and everything else, like the testing side of things, that's where you really get to interact and that's meaningful. But I think where the fun happens, I mean, in bigger companies, is like the water cooler talks. That session, that's kind of fun because that's when all the gossip happens, and it's part of the office culture, right? That is, I think part of what makes the work experience better as well. Because if you're working from home, right, one of the problems I notice now is a lot of people, if they will, they don't have water cooler buddies, right? It's not as easy for it to happen because you need to, set up a call, check their time. If you're free, then you log online and then you talk, right? So there's a lot more steps to it. But last time it's just like, you pick up your cup, you give your glance at your work buddy, it's like, that face that you make, and then they're like, and then you just walk to the water cooler, and then you go back like 10 minutes later and you're all better. Right, so it's a trade-off. I mean, some people like the hybrid stuff. Some people actually need that like physical interaction. So, really depends. Like it's hard to say, lah.
Yeah, I agree. Like with both of you, I mean, I am against 9 to 5 in the sense of like, if your work doesn't require you to meet clients, then I don't think you have to force me to come in at 9 a.m. You know what I mean? And like honestly, whenever I go into work at 9, I don't really start doing work until like 11:30. Because clients don't even get back until then, right?
Yes.
They have their morning
So,
meetings and everything.
I'm just wasting my time in the morning doing nothing, and then I have no work, And like, honestly, like the most productive times in the day is like after lunch.
Yes.
Yeah, for most of us it's after lunch, and then you just spend that 2, 3, 4 hours even just doing whatever you need to do, and you're just done for the day, and then you have to wait again for your clients to get back to you, and by the time they get back, it's already next day's work. If it's not urgent, then obviously it's next day's work. But most of the time it can wait. Yeah, so I feel that 9 to 5 is quite rigid, but I do understand it forces some sort of structure.
Yes.
Because you are an entity, right? You have to have some sort of structure. So I do understand that on some days it is a must for you to come in, because then it builds like rapport with everyone else in your office, and not like you're not strangers with people that you work with, right? But then I also do feel like the hybrid option is good, because then it saves people time, it saves people energy from traveling to work, and you get to do other things in between as well, So I wouldn't say abolish 9 to 5, but at least make it like a flexible thing. You don't have to clock in at 9 and
for the
clock
sake
out
of
at
it.
5. Yes. Yeah.
That's one thing I really didn't like going to the workforce in the beginning. Because like, I'm not a morning person, so similar to you, right? I mean, perfectly honest, I'll pretend I'm busy by clicking on my keyboard just on the side of it, right? Just to pretend like I'm looking through stuff, but like my brain's not working. Like nothing's entering, nothing's going out, until I'm like maybe 10 o'clock, then the coffee kicks in and I can finally start being productive.
I think it really depends on the nature of the work lah. There are jobs that really needs you to be at the workplace at 9, like doctors, they need to be at 9. Even everyone is start queuing at 8 a.m. You late 1 minute, so I think a lot of people will be
side eyes.
Like,
how dare you?
I'm waiting here.
Wait so long.
I need to be in the office after this, that kind of thing.
I think those occupation, they can't avoid the 9 to 5 lah. But I think in general, like if you are in creative industry, I don't think you should work 9 to 5. Because like it's so tedious, and the creativity doesn't help if you sit in the office 9 to 5.
Yeah, correct.
Because a lot of, what do you call that? Inspiration comes from like scrolling like social media and all that, or like you do something else, then
It's things that you can't force, basically. Yeah.
We have a comment from Azri.
Oh, that's panjang ni.
Yeah, panjang. Here, I read this one. After interviewing a good volume of Gen Zs, I find that to recruit and retain them, you need to. Okay, one.
Here's what I observed to attract them.
Get straight to the point. Hierarchy doesn't make anyone superior. Good personality and vibe does. Be transparent, like really, really transparent.
Oh yeah, I know how he does his
You
interview.
will just
Pull
insult
up
their intelligence if you hide or lie some information from them.
True. True.
I mean, they're gonna find out anyways. That's how I'll see it. You know.
Yeah.
Rather you let them know up front, let them make a decision if that's something they're okay with. Because you don't know until you actually get the opinion one.
I think it's more like I don't know about what kind of management style actually you enjoy. Because I think that depends on each person. What kind of management style you like?
I mean, obviously, I would prefer a transparent management. Like,
How transparent?
not so transparent, but transparent enough so that I know what is happening. And if, like, for example, there are changes in company structure or like company policies, I would like to be told about this, and not like after I ask something, then you tell me, oh, actually we changed the company policy like a week ago. You get what I mean? Like,
Yeah, there should be
don't-
announcements on that.
Yeah, don't make me blindsided, basically, because it's still my right to ask certain things as an employee. Yeah, so I wouldn't like to know that my right to certain things was sort of taken away from me without me knowing.
Okay, that's interesting. I think during interview, no one actually asked the candidate what kind of management style you enjoy, right?
I mean,
Rarely, right?
it's something that I do ask lah.
You do ask?
Yeah, it's something I do ask. I asked you that question.
Did you? Did you?
Yeah, it's a standard thing I ask. Reason I ask for that, right, is, usually it's something I try to incorporate. Reason being, I want to understand where to place you,
Oh.
right? So if I know you're not going to be really good with this other manager, because I ask for examples when like, in which situations where you felt maybe you kind of were clicking with, more in flow with the way you're working with your manager lah. And they give me specific instances of the things that they felt made them unproductive or not wanting to work for that person. I can kind of know like, okay, then this manager from this company probably not. This one maybe yes. This one is definitely. I think they have something they can discuss. It can work out.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of how I work it out in my head. That's why I'll ask the question lah. I think it's important to know.
Okay. Did you guys get that question during the interview? Ever heard that kind of question? Because you say you asked me about, I can't remember. I really can't remember. But I went to an interview, and then that person actually asked me like, what is the most ideal, like what kind of person you want to work with? What kind of manager do you want to work with? Then but I think that question is a bit weird to ask on that spot because I wasn't interviewing with the manager.
Oh, okay, by HR lah.
Yeah, by HR.
Okay.
Then I'm like, you ask me this question, but I need to know who's the manager first. No?
Yeah.
Then only I know. Then they will ask, what kind of company you want to work in. Then I'm like, I need to talk to the manager. Then only I know. But
Yeah.
there's no context at all, so
Yeah.
it's very hard to answer that question.
I think
Let it out. It's okay. You're off the clock.
yeah, I think like the management thing, I remember being asked this question a few times in an interview.
Oh, okay.
They do ask me like not explicitly like the way that you phrased your question, but they will be like, what is your style of working?
Yeah.
Then
Let's
like,
see
how
what
do
they
I
say.
answer that question, right? Like, what is my style of working? Like, do I say like I'm a team player, or like, all these kind of things? Like, what do I actually say? But then the management thing, they can ask you this question, but then like, even if you say the opposite of whatever the management that they have, right? Then where do they put you? You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a bit of a
No, that's why it's a bit difficult to answer that question. It still all depends to who is the direct manager.
yeah.
I need to work with the direct manager, then only I know whether.
Yeah.
Yeah, because usually what the seasoned HRs will try to do is they'll try to get your perspective on what your work style is. For two reasons usually. One is to try and gauge maybe self-awareness. So how well do you know the way you work? Are you conscious about the way you work? and we said like I work with anyone, for example, then like okay, maybe you don't pay too much attention, but you know you can flow it most people.
Yeah.
Right, so try and figure that out, and then they will understand the managers internally, one are the HR aunties, because they're like, you know, they know the managers one. No, trust, it's a thing. Like the HR side had this sixth sense, you know, like they know this manager, they talk to you, right? They're like, not maybe for you, and then they'll let you know exactly how the manager is, right? Because the idea is, if I withhold it from you, you find out later you're gonna quit, and then they have to replace you, and they don't want to do that. So what they do is they'll try and tell you everything. If you don't look scared, okay lah.
Oh, that's how it is. You don't look scared.
But if you like, maybe not, then maybe not something you want to explore first. But we're opening for this other manager, they tell you, and then they say we'll let you know, we'll connect you, and maybe interview for that position instead. So that's how they will do it lah.
Okay.
Oh, Jonah's here.
Hi, Jonah.
Hello.
Okay, another quite typical impression of Gen Z is they hops too many jobs. So, is it true? Okay, you don't speak for yourself, but like 2,000 babies around, do they do that?
Actually, to be honest, I don't think this job hopping thing is restricted to Gen Zs, but I think we were the people who made it popular.
Oh.
It's more common now.
Yeah, I think like the phenomenon of job hopping is a thing, but then I don't think anyone really pointed it out until Gen Z started doing it.
No, I think it's people usually still job hopping like since like for the
Yes.
but they do it like yearly.
Yeah, after they get their bonus and then they leave. Yeah,
they do
that's
it
true.
yearly.
Okay, yes. Then I think this job hopping trend is more common in Gen Zs or like maybe the 2000s because COVID took 2 years away from us. So like, I think because of that, we had quite a lot of fear of like not being able to live up to our maximum potential if we didn't go and. At least that is the case for me. Like I feel like there's so many things that I want to do and I want to achieve and I want to try, but then like. Obviously, I can't be job hopping like every 6 months because then employers would question me, right? Like, oh, how come you can't stay put and be loyal to a company for more than 6 months? Like, what is your problem? You know, they don't ask you what was the problem with your previous job. They will ask you what is your problem.
Oh.
You know, like they'll make it a you thing. Like it's as if you are incapable of like sticking to one thing and being consistent.
But usually they will do background check.
They do, but the thing is that even after the background check when you go for interview, they will still ask you this question. You know, like, can you tell me what you did between this period? Why is there a gap? Why did you only stay for 6 months? You know? So there's always all these questions, which is fair to ask because obviously there's no point in hiring someone and then they leave after 6 months, which is fair. But I think you also have to look at it from like a half glass full perspective where, okay, this person is actually willing to take a risk to go and try something new, given that she's still like young and that, you know, at 23, I don't think many of us know what we actually want to do, right? So like, I don't think it's fair to like fault us to say like, oh, you should stick to the one job for like 2 years or something like that. You get what I mean? Did you guys have that?
I think because I think my situation is a bit different because I graduated later. I graduated like around like 25. And for me to jump so frequently, I don't think it's reasonable for me because of my age. I do feel conscious about my age when I decided to pivot into another industry. I do try to stay longer to see if that's also like I assume if people look at my resume, if they see me, I'm 25 already, I still jump around, hop around, doesn't look good with my age. But I think if I'm 23, I wouldn't care for that much. I will actually hop more and try more things.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I remembered like I went for an interview and then this employer, so he was asking me about why I left my previous job.
Okay.
And then I was explaining to him that like my values didn't align with management. So then he he didn't really even ask me much about my experience there, but he just assumed that I was going to quit in 6 months also.
Oh.
Yeah, and then he just like told me to my face, like he said, I don't see why there's a reason I should hire you, because like clearly you can't stay in a company for long.
But you didn't even ask, like he didn't even
Yeah.
ask your point of view.
Yeah, and then like his question to like that was like the litmus test to
Oh,
see whether I would stay in the company. He asked me where do I see myself in 10 years.
Oh, that's
And then I'm staring at the
another
screen.
ridiculous question.
Like where do I see myself in 10 years? I don't know. I don't even know where I'm going to see myself in the next year, right? And then
Yeah.
I mean, I was being honest. I told him I really don't know. And he said, if you can't see yourself like, you know, doing something for the next 5 years, then yeah, don't see a reason we should hire you. And just
I really hate that question, honestly.
You could ask, you could counter with a question, where do you see the company going in the next year?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the next business year.
Yeah.
Because if they don't know that, then
Yeah.
what's the reasonable expectation from my answer for
Yeah.
10 years, you know?
Yeah, that's a very fair question to ask actually.
After
but-
COVID.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You don't know, like, also, like, how could you ask someone that who has never worked in your company to answer what?
No, I can tell you the intention behind the question, the origin of it is just to gauge one trait, ambition.
Yeah,
It
to
was
see
supposed to
to
see if you think big, you think further. That
Oh.
was the intention behind the question, but I think it's a bit outdated, because everyone has.
Yeah.
There are a lot of guides on how to answer the question, which I think is
Yeah,
really dumb.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
answer it how you would answer it.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. I
It's-
think
yeah.
that's the thing also, like with interviews, right? I think my parents' generation, they would always tell me, oh, don't be so honest. Like, don't expose yourself. Don't be your
Yeah.
true self, basically. Like, always sugarcoat things. But then I'm thinking, like, why would I want to sugarcoat my answer when I'm going to work for this company? And if they don't really know who I am, then they're basically just hiring some fake, you know, made up person
Yeah.
that I put on the screen. Then if I go to office, I have to act that way that I acted in the interview. You get what I mean?
Yeah. But I think it depends on whoever that is interviewing
Yeah.
you. So because that person could be really senior and
Yeah.
they already have a set of the kind of expectation and this is what they want to see, then
Yeah.
if you really want that job, you might need to think from his perspective what kind of answer they want to hear. I think the only way for the younger people to gauge whether this manager is worth working for is
Yeah.
see if they ask you back
Mm.
why you do this now, why you do that. If they didn't ask you that, meaning they want a scripted answer.
Yeah, yeah.
They want a sugar coating answer. I think that's for me. That's how I gauge that.
Yeah.
Because if they didn't ask you back, it's like okay. Sorry to use relationship dating as an example. It's like
It's
going
not
date.
reciprocated, and it's
Yeah,
just
it's like if
one
the guy
way.
only asks you like question, but they don't ask what about you, then no point lah. Then really no point.
yeah. Yeah. You put, I mean, interview is goes both ways.
Yeah, any relationship building in general, it's applicable one. I mean, in recruitment all the time we always use the same thing. Like these two cannot, they cannot go on, they cannot sit at the same table one.
Algae comment is quite funny. He said, yeah, job hopping has been around since forever. Gen Y, millennial, were the first one to get the societal burn
But yeah,
brunt. Harsh judgment for wanting upgrade ourselves for a better job and culture.
yeah, because it's a very there's a phrase what holding down a job. That's from the boomer generation. No, honestly, because right, like I'll say my uncle, but bear in mind my uncle, the age gap is very big. He's my uncle, but he's 80 something, right? So his generation, their perception is always your ability to hold down a job, because that spoke to the reliability of the person you're working with, right?
Yeah.
That was the perception back then, lah. But I think with Gen Z, like I think the team has shifted from that to authenticity. So if you don't genuinely feel it's something you want to do, you don't put up with it. But the boomer generation, like they're very used to putting up with things because there weren't many opportunities, right? So
Yeah,
they
yeah.
just hold it down.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The key is that there were many opportunities. Nowadays, actually, there are a lot of job opportunities.
There's so many companies.
No,
like,
that's true.
like our company is what, 5 people, 6 people, you know. So we're a company still. Like back in the day, you can't call yourself a company until like maybe you're 20 people, then you get some respect, you know. It's quite different.
Yeah.
The job opportunity is way more. Okay, another one is I think a lot of people talk about it, is like Gen Z quit the job so easily because they always think that this job when this job doesn't have meaning, then they will just quit, right? And then I think because Gen Z thought that the job must have sense of purpose triumph
Yeah.
the money aspect. Do you think it's true?
I think again it's up to depends on preference. I know people who want to chase money, which is perfectly fine, of course. But I mean, I used to think money was everything until it got to a point where I realized like, okay, money is everything, yes, but then there are certain things I can't buy with money, like time, and I can't buy my wellness back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that was when I realized that obviously the things that you cannot buy are more invaluable than money. You know, yes, money is very important. There's no way you can survive without money in this day and age, right? But of course, like I think that sense of fulfillment that you're contributing to something, that you are bringing your full authentic self to work, that you can feel like you're contributing meaningfully into your job. You know, not just like just doing the job for the sake of doing. You know, yeah, like I think it brings back to what I said earlier, that I'm not going to go to office and do 8 hours of something that's so meaningless. You know, I still want to bring something to the table. I still want to be able to like see some sort of progress, or like, you know, like leave a mark in that sense. Yeah, and like be able to say that I'm proud of doing what I'm doing. I think it's mainly that.
But how do you know you're bringing value to the table?
Yeah, that's also a very good question.
How do you define value?
Yeah,
how do you
because
define value?
you saying this is like, what if you, whatever you do, it has to be someone tells that you're bringing the value to
Yeah.
the table. Then only you know you're bringing value to the table, right?
Yeah.
So what if you go into a job, you really work like really hard, but no one actually gives you the validation? Then do you feel like you're doing you are useless?
That's a very good I think you should know your self-worth too. I think external validation plays a part, of course, knowing like whether you bring value or not, right? Because there's always so much that you can validate yourself and tell yourself that you are bringing something to the table. So in some sense, work is still will still always be results driven. I think that's something that you can't really escape. I think that's the KPI for all jobs, right? You just have to
Yeah.
show results. Yeah. That's a good question.
You know, because you know why I say that? Because a lot of the senior manager or senior, they are not the kind of people that actually will validate people's work. They'll just no comment. Maybe it's the compliment.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
that's why I asked the question. If you're working with the senior people and if they don't give you any kind of like not a validation, like just acknowledge whatever you do, then it's quite difficult for you to feel a sense of
Achievement.
in the company.
Uh,
So how do you deal with that?
So in my previous, like I used to work in I was doing content writing. So obviously writing is quite difficult to gauge like whether you're good or not, because everyone's writing style is so different. So whenever I wasn't really sure if I was progressing, I would just go to my editor and ask. Like I don't think that it's wrong to ask for validation, because you care about your progress at work, and you care about whether like you are able to meet certain standards that your editor has of you. So, you know, I think in other words, like if you are seeking to know like where you stand in your team, for example, I don't think it's wrong to ask. You can just ask. Like it's just as simple as that. I don't think you have to be in the dark and keep like asking yourself, oh my god, am I doing enough? Am I good enough? You know, I don't think you should burden yourself with these kind of questions when you can just ask. Like the person is available, you should just ask. Yeah, I think a lot of us just overcomplicate things. You know?
Yeah.
I think that's something people can learn from the younger people,
Yeah.
because a lot of people, I don't think they do that. They go and ask like, actually how is it? What is it like? How's my work? Is this okay?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
I don't know how many people in the audience actually ask their manager, like, what do you think I do?
Yeah, but
You know?
I think because most of us will also kind of like, I mean, in Asian culture in general, you don't ask
Yeah.
whether I'm good enough, right? You're just kind of like told in microwaves, oh
Well,
yeah,
if
you
you-
did
if
a
you-
good job. Like,
If you're not a problem, you're okay.
yeah, pretty much, right? Like no news is good news kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think our culture has definitely
Play a
still-
part
yeah, has-
in the
has kind of trained us to be like that in the working world. But then I think we should also realize that we have some sort of agency, like we have some sort of right to ask these kind of things, you know, for our own benefit of the doubt as well. Yeah, so if for all you know, you probably weren't doing well, but then because you asked, and then you have now like the room to grow, instead of like you waiting if someone's going to tell you if you were actually doing a good job or not, and then when it comes to the time when you need to improve, maybe it's already too late. So I think Gen Zs are willing to like
I think
just
yeah.
ask, like they are not willing to wait for something that is for something to be given to them. They would just ask to ask and you shall receive.
I think that's something I'm considering myself old. Older people should learn learn from the younger people.
Yeah.
From Prima. Hi Prima.
Hello.
She said this day you must ask. I think it's a culture lah. There's a huge part of the culture element inside when we also accidentally bring our our identity to work, and then it does stop us from going because we never ask.
Yeah.
We never like investigate, and we always just wait until appraisal lah.
Yeah.
And then we don't even know when's the appraisal. Sometimes we don't even know when's the appraisal coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
even setting goals also. Usually people just set goals for us, but we never set the goals with others. Like we never volunteer. We can do that. Right? We can volunteer.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because we're just very used to the way like the process of things.
Right.
So it's like
So come if we go back to this one, right? So how do people can provide sense of purpose for the younger people?
as in like the 90s, the 80s, like how employers can. I think you can start by engaging with the Gen Zs. I know it's not easy. I'm not saying that we're the easiest to work with, but but I'm just saying that just take the time to get to know them. I think one of the things that we really care about is like what we say, transparency is one of it, and like that you really take the time to get to know, that you care what we think at work, that we are not just like some young kids going to the workforce and like that we don't know anything so you can manipulate us. I feel like that sometimes there's some
manipulate is a strong word.
Okay, not manipulate, but then I think they know how to. There are loopholes in the workplace that they know how to close so that you don't find out about the loophole. You understand what I mean? Like the system is there, yes, there are rules set in place, but then there is way that you can find jalan to like susut somewhere, There's like shortcuts here and there. But then because they know that you're young and that you probably won't know how to play the game yet, so they will just give you everything and then you think it's normal. Like it's like they're trying to training you that this is how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I was about to say they're gonna frame it as training.
Like they're conditioning you like, okay, this is how it's supposed to be. Don't ask questions. And then, until when you start working and you realize, actually, no, I can do something about it. Yeah. Because that way it's easier for them to like control. They don't have to like get questions from people. They don't have to be put under fire, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
Calling a lot of people out, but
Okay.
Okay, very much first.
Yeah, that's necessary, especially with what bosses,
Retirement bosses.
retirement bosses, and bosses who are stingy with feedback. It's tough when they choose to tell you that you're good or needed when you decide to resign.
yeah,
Yeah, they
that's
take
a
it
good
personally.
You know,
Why are you laughing, huh?
It's like because there's two great things.
for the same account.
Oh, no. Sharing the same device.
Vivian, what do you think about like working with the younger ones? Maybe you can share with us. Okay, another one that is okay. We have 12 minutes.
Yes.
Okay, another one is I think people do see
Younger people that they really don't know how to save money, and they just thought why Gen Z are so eager to like spend money, splurge. I know tomorrow, and then I just go to trip and all that. I think I think the senior might be a bit difficult to like grasp what our value lah. What do you think? Has anyone told you that why you go travel so much?
No, but my mom My mom pointed out before, like she was talking to, you know, some other like
And
auntie,
okay.
and then they were all like saying, hey, you know, all these Gen Zs, you go to the cafe, it's always all these young people spending money. That's so expensive. Even I don't want to spend, you know. So like, I think the idea of money is very different. Like how they perceive money before and how we perceive money now is very different. And yes, I do agree that we do tend to spend quite a lot on like food or like traveling, all these kind of things that aren't considered like necessities. They are considered wants, right? But yeah, we do spend quite a lot. But I think to us, it's like we already work so hard. If we are not going to spend this money, it's just going to sit in the bank.
You think you're grateful?
Yeah, that's the generation like before us, right?
But have you met 2,000 babies that actually save a lot?
Yes.
Oh, you do.
I have friends who, like, they are really, really tight on. They are not tight on money. They have a lot of money, but then every time you ask them, "You want to do this? You want this?" I have no money. I have no money. But actually, they're just saving the money.
Oh.
Yeah, like if they don't think it's a need, they won't spend money at all on it. But that's, I mean, to me, that's not how I would enjoy life. Like, I think enjoying life, part of it, you have to spend money, right? Because things, you have to buy things to enjoy certain things. So money gives you access to those things. I know some people are just contented with saving because they have like a longer term goal that they want to achieve. But money can earn back. Yeah, time, you can't earn time back, and you only have like a year to be 23, and then that's it. Next year you're 24, you know? Yeah, so to me, yeah, money can earn back mentality basically. Yeah, so you know, I mean, of course, don't spend recklessly, spend responsibly and calculatively, but don't be too like frugal over things that can give you access to certain memories that you can make, you know. Like, you only have this one life to make all the memories that you want. But if you're just going to hold back because money is an issue, then yeah, I mean, I would strongly suggest you to reconsider. It's just a suggestion. But
Just don't spend the rent money, that's all,
yeah,
you know.
just
Pay your
spend
bills,
within
but
your means,
yeah.
you know. Yeah, of course, save where you can, but if you have that little bit of extra to spend, like, why not, right? It won't hurt you at all.
No, I think it depends on like, okay, if being tight on budget, actually you emotionally you also feel okay.
Yes.
You don't make people around you stress. I think it's
Yeah,
okay.
correct.
You're happy because you know where you're going. You got a
Yeah.
bigger goal that you want to achieve. I think that's okay.
Yeah.
But if you are being very tight on budget and it stresses you yourself out that you
Yeah.
actually want to buy, you cannot overcome the need.
Yeah.
I think then that's a bit like too over. You
Yeah.
might need to spend a little
I
bit lah.
agree.
Yeah. Also, like if you are also vice versa, if you are spending a lot, if you are splurging, you know you're splurging, but you don't make people that tight on budget to like splurge at you also, because
Yeah.
basically you don't any decision you
Influence.
make, don't make people around you stress.
Yeah, understand.
Yeah. Then you can.
Okay, before we continue, I just have to say this. I'm saying this, I acknowledge my privilege that I can say things like this, because I know many people can't be in this position to say like, yes, I have money, extra money to splurge, or like I can spend money and money can come back, because I know different people have different life circumstances. So I'm not going to say like it's so easy to just say like, yeah, spend money where you can, you know, because yes, money is very hard to earn. Yeah. So I'm just.
I can see you
putting
trying to
it
be
out
very
there.
politically correct.
Yeah, because
You don't want to get cancelled, right? Cannot get cancelled.
already not Gen Z and then
No,
this
I
girl-
can help you with this. Like, okay, if I okay, to save that a little bit, right? It's like if you are not from KL but you're working in KL, I think you sure will have extra money to spend. But if you're like me from out of KL, coming to KL to
stay in
work,
KL.
probably it's understandable that you should save more a little bit, because those extra money can help you improve the quality of life in
Yes.
KL. So then in that way, okay, tight on budget. So we can do it, we put it that way lah.
Yeah, we'll leave it at
So
that.
that's one thing I enjoy about my generation. We don't have this thing where we're afraid of being cancelled. One,
He's
like we like if we have a rich friend, we just like, good lah, the fella spend, go holiday again, like that lah. You know, we don't
Yeah.
feel that resentment towards I mean, maybe a little bit of envy, like, wow,
It's
this
our
girl travel
family
a lot,
money,
not bad.
yeah.
Yeah, but we don't have to like be so afraid of being cancelled for our opinions. I think that
Yeah.
happened less.
Yeah.
Only maybe like laughing in a Japanese forest. That's maybe one. But that's like once in a while, some fellow will get cancelled, but it's not every other day.
I won't be afraid of getting cancelled on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
LinkedIn, no one there to cancel anyone.
Okay.
Even
okay.
cancel someone is you will get judged.
Oh.
So no one will
Nah,
do
but
that.
I mean, just to balance the view, right? So
Yeah.
that she doesn't get cancelled.
Yeah.
I think as long everyone has that one thing that they spend money on, whether it's like food or travel or that hobby that they have, for
Yes,
example.
yes,
Everyone has that
yes.
one thing, lah.
Yes.
So there's no need to
Yeah.
judge. Everyone will spend some money on something. Like for the typical guys, it's like cars, lor. Cars or your gadgets or whatever. So always have that one thing, lah. Even
That's
though we
true.
save a lot of money, there'll be that one time in the year that you splurge or something. So everyone does it, lah.
Yeah, I think it still goes back. You don't make people around you stress lah. Whatever you want to do, whatever you decide, don't forcefully influence other. Also, don't get offended by
Yeah.
others.
I mean,
Yeah.
you do you lah. It's your money,
Yeah,
right? You
yeah,
earn it, you
yeah,
spend it,
yeah,
lah.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
if you're taking money from someone else to spend it, then I don't think that's that's necessarily the wisest thing to do.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
From Vivian.
Ada sini.
They have their own concept of life. Like what Kim said, we already work so hard. Why we have to be stingy ourselves? As long as we manage it wisely, it shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then for Azri, we send people who are initiatively drinking.
Fire.
Okay.
Got 4 minutes.
Okay, 4 minutes.
I think we pretty much cover everything.
Maybe one last thing is like just coming from because everyone sure have something to share and for others people to learn, right? You have been working for 3 years. Do you have any tips for people who are out there, maybe same your same age people, that how do you hopping or just your working experience in general? How to survive, to not become a corporate slave.
Rule number 1: don't be a slave. Just okay. I think
Any tips?
from these 3 years, I've jumped. I'm currently in my 3rd job for context, so I've jumped twice already in the last 2 years. I'll start with the job hopping thing. So I think job hopping has given me quite a lot of insights. I mean, as much as it looks like a bad thing from the outside, but personally, I feel like my growth has been quite a lot because I was exposed to different company culture, exposed to different managers, exposed to different kinds of people working in the company. So I think job hopping has given me like a leverage also in terms of knowing how to discern certain people to avoid in the office, like the people who are like troublemakers or the people who like make the most noise but actually don't do work. People who talk a lot but actually like they don't know what they're talking about. You know, those little things that you pick up. Basically learning about people. I think that's the biggest takeaway that I've gotten from job hopping, and it also helped you build confidence because all these jobs that I've hopped into were all like completely new to me. So I think
Exposure is
the exposure, and it gives you like a sense of like, oh yeah, I actually did this. I was able to like push through and learn something completely new to me, and I think that gives you like, it helps build your confidence. It helps build the fact that you can go for interviews and answer questions and you're not scared of the interviewer anymore, you know, because you understand that it's a two-way thing.
build self-esteem basically also.
Correct. And I think along the way, because I've met so many different people, that has also helped me with networking. Different people obviously move on to do different things eventually, right? So like when I joined, there may be people who are leaving, but then it's very important to keep in contact with all those people, because you will never know when you would actually go into certain industries or like when you need advice on certain things. So that is another thing. I think burning bridges is one of the things that is very important. Sorry, not burning bridges. Not burning bridges.
Well, some bridges are important to burn too.
Okay, yes, yes.
I'll say it so you don't get cancelled.
Oh, okay, thanks. Yeah, but in most cases, if you can afford to not burn bridges, then yes, definitely do keep those people in the loop. It is important also to reconnect. I don't think it's ever too late to connect with people that you've worked with or people that you've met like years ago or like people from uni, all these kind of different things, right? You never know like where that can take you, honestly. Yeah, I think
That's about it.
oh no, work-life balance.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the last
Okay.
advice I have to give you. Yeah, like if work-life balance is not possible, please force it. Force your way through this work-life balance. Just like make it happen, because work can feel like it can take out a lot of your time. And you already spend so much time on work that you realize that you're so tired you don't have time to do anything for yourself. But I think it's very important to understand that yes, work is important, but some things can wait. You know, your life can't wait for you. Literally every second counts. So you should try to understand that don't put off quality time with your friends, with your family, with yourself, because yeah, really life is way too short. And most of the time, 99% of the time, as much as you think it's urgent, it's really not. So just turn off your brain after work hours. Just turn it off. And please don't answer messages after work hours, because then you're just you're just forcing your clients to keep texting you after work hours. So please don't do that to yourself. So yeah, that's my last tip.
Very good.
Hope you guys learned something today, that we are not like scary Satan, spawns of Satans. We're like actually sweethearts. It's just misunderstood, you know.
Yeah. If you guys have anything like extra question to ask about the 2000 baby, feel free to leave all your question and then connect with Kim.
Yes.
She's on LinkedIn.
I'm not active, but yes.
But she's
questions,
on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for listening, tuning in. Bye bye.
Right. Bye. Now we'll sit awkwardly until Chris finds the button. Chris finds the button.
We were freezing.
Secretary, bro.
I do not understand.
I think he's. Oh shit.
We have a poster.
Yeah, we have a poster.